Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. Hello, DB here, your favorite sex educator and pleasure expert. Today, I'm sharing an episode of Dating Intentionally with you. Dating Intentionally is a podcast I highly recommend for anyone who's single and looking to take their dating journey to the next level and enjoy the process. Host and my friend Talia Koren shares all the practical advice you need to date with confidence. And if you don't know her story, she went on dates with 64 people before meeting her husband on Hinge. So she really has done the work. I got to be a guest on Dating Intentionally, and I chatted with her all about common misconceptions about sex, why it's time to rethink what even counts as sex, using toys solo and how to bring them up with a partner. And then at the end of the episode, I answered the questions people are usually too embarrassed to ask about body odor, performance anxiety, being on top, all of it. Subscribe to Dating Intentionally wherever you get your podcasts. Links are in the show notes. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating modern dating and relationships with confidence and ease. Whether you've been on dozens of dates or you're just getting started, I believe dating can be fun. Sex can be fun too, which is what we're getting into today with my friend Danielle Bezalel, who is a sexual health education expert with over 9 years of professional experience. Danielle's mission is to get comprehensive, pleasure-focused, non-judgmental, medically accurate LGBTQ plus inclusive sexual health education to the masses. And that is something I can absolutely get behind. Danielle is also the host of the podcast Sex Education with DB, which is fantastic. I'm actually going to be on her show in one of her series called Rom-Com Vom, where she analyzes rom-coms with guests, and we're going to be talking about Sleepless in Seattle, so go check that out too. I don't know about you, but I'm someone who has read a bunch of books about sex. I actively try to educate myself about sex, and I learned several new things in this conversation, so I'm sure you will too. We talked about sex myths and truths, different toys to try, and how to incorporate them into your solo play and with your partner, even if you've never brought up anything about toys before, and even if you feel embarrassed to. This is going to be so helpful if that's you right now, and just know that you're not alone. At the end, we did a rapid fire round of sex-related questions that you're too embarrassed to ask, so I asked them for you. You're welcome. They were so great, and thank you for submitting them on Instagram. As always, I love hearing from you, so if you have any comments, if you enjoyed the episode, you can share your thoughts with me below on Spotify or DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. I love when you get in touch and share your feedback, and my inbox is open to you anytime. All right, let's get to it. Welcome, Danielle, to the Dating Intentionally podcast. How's it going?
I'm great. Hi, Talia. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. We became internet friends recently, and now we're working together on so many things. It's just, I absolutely love what you're posting everywhere, podcasts, on your page, everything.
Stop it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I love what you do too. I think that I found you and was like, I'd like to be friends. I'd like to be friends with her. And now we're making it happen.
And then we also found out we lived with each other. We both studied film.
Yes.
We both kind of got married in the same time frame. It's super
East Coast Jews. There's there's a lot of synergy here, as they say.
I love the internet. My first question that I ask everyone is, what do you want to be more intentional about right now? Or what are you being more intentional about if you already have one?
Ooh, this is great. I would say I'm kind of consistently trying to be more intentional about being in the moment. I think it's really easy for us gals who really like to plan. We're type A's, we just really like things how we like them, to kind of look towards the future a lot. And I think especially with dating and especially with, me being recently married and wanting a family someday, I think it feels really easy to just constantly live in that future place. And I'm consistently trying to look up at the sky and notice things around me and just really be present in the moment as much as I can.
Me too. Can I share something that's been working for me with this?
Yes.
So for being in the moment, I've started doing this like this week. I've been kind of narrating what I've been doing in my head. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm folding laundry. And it's like really keeping me present and grounded in the moment of what I'm doing, especially when I'm on my phone. It's like, I'm switching to Reddit right now. I'm switching to Instagram. Like, what am I doing? Get the fuck off your phone.
Oh, wow. That is
like,
powerful, narrating the different ways that you're just doom scrolling.
I'm not judging myself. I'm just being like, this is what I'm doing right now. Do I want to be doing this?
Right. That is really smart. I think it's kind of like a voice from above if someone was watching you saying what you were doing.
It's fun. I've kind of been enjoying that. It does bring me back to like, it's like, like when at the end of the day where it's like, what did I even do today? It's like, you're going to have less of that because you're like, I am consciously sitting here with Danielle having a conversation. Like,
Yes, definitely. It feels very in the moment when I have catch ups with friends and when I'm kind of like, having conversations with people. I feel very present then. So this is us doing that. So thank you again.
Yeah, amazing. So just to give our listeners a little context, what made you want to channel your time, your energy, your blood, sweat, tears into sex education?
Great cue. I just can't think of another topic that I could think is more important, honestly. Like, I think sex education is so all-encompassing. It is everything. It is pleasure, consent, birth control, periods, relationships, mental health, and so much more. And I think that if everyone had good sex education, then the world would look very, very different. There would be, I believe, a lot less misogyny and sexism and racism and anger and less of an orgasm gap. Like, there's just so much that can come from sex ed. And I think that because my mom is an OBGYN and I grew up kind of knowing how important, women's rights were, I would always say, like, we talked placentas over pizza at the dinner table. Like, she would come home and just like be talking about her delivery that she just had, and we'd get all gross and talk about fluids and everything while we were eating. And it just became so part of the norm for me. And so I just think from a very young age, from being raised by her, and could see it in myself that I did have this kind of fire and passion for teaching and for educating and growing when it comes to sex education.
How do you think that like upbringing with your mom and her work and everything affected your dating life and who you chose as a partner?
Oh my God, I've never thought about that, actually, the partner part. I mean, I think that my mom was really good about giving me the education and information kind of from like a white coat perspective of like, here are the facts, and here's the education.
It's a little comfier, I think, in a way.
Yeah, I think that like it's comfy and it's kind of clinical. I think it could be both at times. And so I think when it came to dating, like, I was pretty open with her, but I do think I was like quite afraid to like get an STI or to get pregnant, like from the education that I did get from her. And I think partially that was my own shit, and partially it was just me kind of being on the receiving end of that. And so I started dating my husband when I was 23, and we just got married last year. So majority of my 20s were to dating him. But I don't know exactly how, like, being raised by, I mean, I think that he is like a very kind, trustworthy, smart, supportive person. And those are all traits that I definitely saw in my mom, and kind of how she wanted me to also find a partner that was like that.
Right. But I guess it's like, I'm thinking like your upbringing, it's like, did it orient your choices around to choosing someone who cared about these things too, had knowledge of these things too, were aware of these things, or did that not matter to you as much? Because there's so much misinformation out there. So it's like, you didn't control what your husband was growing up with. And like,
That's true. I think definitely it influenced me wanting to date a feminist, like for sure. Like someone who was unapologetic about the fact that like women and queer people deserve just as many rights, X, Y, and Z as cis men do. Like I think that is like the baseline. For me.
That makes sense.
But for sure, I'm sure that like her being a feminist and her being someone who talked about, women's reproductive rights and health made me want to say, okay, I want someone who supports me in that way. Yeah. But it didn't necessarily matter to me if someone was like also a sex educator or also kind of in the know about these things.
I'm curious, like, because if you really thought about how that affected your choice, but everyone chooses partners differently and we all have different like priorities. And I find it fascinating. So right off the bat, can you bust one of your favorite sex myths?
One of my favorite sex myths is that sex is only intercourse. That is a myth. Okay. Should I expand upon
please.
that?
On the edge of my seat.
So I think that real facts. When we grow up, we're kind of taught that sex is penis in vagina, and that's what sex is. And sex is so much more than that. If we kind of really allow our minds to break open for a second, think about kissing as sex. Think about touching, oral, massage. Think about anal. Think about all the different ways that we can engage in touching someone else and ourselves. Mutual masturbation, that is sex, right? Like there are so many ways that we can engage in sexual acts that do not involve intercourse. And I think when we were younger, in particular for women who are listening, we were taught, okay, like the man's pleasure in like a cis straight relationship is paramount, and we should be centering his pleasure, and sex is over when he reaches orgasm. And it's kind of like, okay, but what about the other person who's who's very much there? And so I think like in that case, we need to think about it. I think for queer people having sex, like, there aren't necessarily a penis and a vagina, right? There could be two vulvas, there could be two penises. Like, what does that look like for other people to be having sex? Right. And so I just think that, thinking about foreplay as sex, thinking about nipple play as sex, thinking about all of these different ways that we engage in sexual acts, all of that is under the umbrella of sex. Right. And we need to change our definition.
I fully agree. I have two thoughts. One, like, I love hearing you talk about this because in that sensitive puberty age for me, like learning about sex, I fully thought that like sex was like all the stuff you were just describing and had like little to do with penis and vagina. I didn't really even get the whole penis and vagina part. Like I hadn't seen porn. I hadn't like been exposed to I was like, I don't really get like what goes where and how. Right. So I fully thought that like sex was just like making out for a really long time, even like through my sex education, because I don't think anyone ever explicitly said.
No one said it.
Like what it is, or I just was not paying attention.
I mean, that could have been, but also you were onto something there that like making out is part of sex.
Yeah. The other thought is like a lot of what I talk about with my listeners is like when to have sex is like this big question early dating. So when we define sex in the way your definition is, defining it like it's all the above, the whole question of when to have sex changes. So what do you think about that? It's like, because it's like we have all these milestones in dating that we care about. It's like when you say I love you, when you have sex, when you ask to be boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever.
Right.
So like if sex is all the above, what's some advice for like thinking about this milestone and taking this step with someone? And when I say step, it's like the first thing that comes to mind might be intercourse, but like that step could be kissing.
Right. Exactly. This is a great question because we're kind of like blowing up the entire thing here.
Yeah.
So we gotta come up with new answers. Right. I think first and foremost, and this is kind of my answer for most things, is like, your body and your mind best. And so like trust your instincts and your gut. Like sex with someone else, including, kissing, touching, inviting them home, like could be a thing you want to think about your own safety before before you're thinking about this milestone, right? So like this is really completely up to you and the way that you engage with a partner. That being said, I think that there is kind of this misunderstanding that specifically for younger women, like, oh, don't be too easy and like don't sleep together on the first date or whatever. I want to blow that up too. I think like that is kind of coded in slut shaming. And I think that we should be encouraging people to engage in pleasure if and when it feels good for them. And so if you were on a first date, does that necessarily mean that you're going to hop straight to intercourse? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe try kissing and see what that feels like. And then try to understand like, okay, do I have trust with this person to kind of continue sharing my body with them in different ways? And so I think like ultimately it is up to you, but I want to remove the pressure that like, oh, you have to wait a certain number of dates in order to have sex with someone.
I agree. I don't want to adhere to a certain number at all. I always tell people my advice around this is like, think about what triggers your anxiety most. Like if like having intercourse with someone is where, and then afterwards you have anxiety about the level of your connection after that and like where you are, like where do you stand with them, maybe hold off on that because you're consciously making that decision based on how you want to feel in this process instead of like what you think you're supposed to do or getting them to like you or like feeling pressure. If you want to have intercourse on the first date because you know it doesn't cause you anxiety, great, like awesome. But I think, it's more about protecting your heart.
Yes, protecting your heart and your peace and like knowing yourself. If you're someone who's going to get attached to somebody like afterwards, then that's something to think about. I think, like STIs and pregnancy, also a consideration.
Right.
Like we want to be safe. We want to be in the know about like, the way in which we're engaging in sexual acts with people and what the risks are. I also think another like myth that I would like to bust is that you can't get an STI like through oral, and you certainly can. So I do think that we should
I have. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So we should be like considering that as like part of the risk and reward of engaging in sexual intercourse or sexual acts with other people. And so, it's definitely something where you need to feel comfortable and that you trust the other person, aka lower anxiety leads to more of a good time.
Amazing. I love that you're just diving into this myth question. This is what you do. So this is a question I get a lot, and I'm really excited to hear your take on it. What is your advice for the dater who's single and dating intentionally? So they're trying to find a long-term relationship, but they are also just really fucking horny.
Amen. Honestly, amen. So is the question kind of like, how do we like successfully have casual sex with people or with yourself?
Yeah, or with yourself. Like, what are the different options? Like, what do you think? How should we make this decision? Of like, do we go through casual sex? Is it more focused on solo play? Like, what are the options?
Can I talk about sex toys? Is that allowed?
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Thank God. So number one is sex toys can be your best friend if you're someone who is perpetually single and perpetually horny. Personally, really recommend the Magic Wand. They have been one of my partners for 3+ years, and it's because it's one of the first sex toys I ever used. And because it can make you orgasm in literally 30 seconds or less, basically, for many people. So if you are a fan of clitoral stimulation, highly recommend a Magic Wand. If you're someone who, kind of likes maybe calmer stimulation or less intense stimulation, you could consider like a bullet vibe, or, if you like internal stimulation, you can, figure out if you like some sort of dildo that doesn't vibrate. Like there are so many different options out there for sex toys. And I just like ultimately feel that masturbation is not only a great way to satisfy yourself sexually, but a great way to know what exactly do I like and how can I incorporate that with a partner if and when that is my destiny.
Yeah, I love it. It's like you're taking care of yourself in many ways and your future partner. Your future partner benefits from you doing solo play.
100%. And I think that another myth that I want to bust is that sex toys are only for you and not for when you want to have partnered sex. And like 70 to 80% of people with clitorises need or desire clitoral stimulation in order to reach orgasm.
We will get there. Yeah.
And you'll get there with a sex toy. And you're usually not going to be able to reach orgasm typically from penetration alone. So if you're listening and you're like, that's why I've never come from like PV sex, you're not alone, girl. It's very common.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
Amazing.
I want to stick with the solo play. I think also just like high libido, being a single girl or a guy or whoever out there, like, I mean, I don't want to say like go out and have casual sex. It's more just like incorporating toys and just solo play is just way more accessible than like trying to go out and have casual sex. Like you can do that. No shame.
As you should.
It's just easier. It's the lower hanging fruit of what you can do. I would say when I was single, I fully kept my toy in the shower.
Yes.
And it was just a daily thing.
Incredible.
It was awesome.
That's a hack, honestly, is keeping a toy in the shower, because most days you're going to take a shower and that allows you most days to be like, oh, I don't need to clean this thing. It's already here.
Put your conditioner in your hair, let it sit.
Exactly. Take your 2 minutes. And like orgasm does not have to be your goal, right? Like it's really important to recognize that you can engage in masturbation and solo play just for the hell of it and just to feel good and just to release some tension. There's so many positive health benefits to masturbation, and it's it's really like an understudied science. And right now, actually,
Yeah, I was going to say understudied. Are you changing that?
yeah, I actually am. So last year, I went to Magic Wand and said, I want to do a single subject longitudinal solo study, AKA a masturbation experiment. And I designed with my team this 3-week study where the first week was abstinence week, no sexual activity at all. The second week was treatment week, where I used the Magic Wand every day. And the third week was regular week, so sexual activity as normal.
Mm-hmm.
And the results were wild. And I am happy to share with you a link with the results. But essentially, like what I found was that during treatment week, my tension, anxiety, and stress were decreased compared to the other weeks. I found that my confidence was up like almost 20% during treatment week.
I can see that.
Like I actually increased in horniness over time when I predicted that I would decrease. Like, you know, horniness begets horniness. And so, yeah. And so long story short, I did this whole study and now we're currently doing it in a legit scientific experiment with 1,000 people.
Amazing.
And I can't wait to see, like, they're currently like masturbating right now. and I can't wait to see what the results are with 1,000 people where we're gathering all this data in the name of science and research.
Yes, that's amazing. I can't wait to see the results as well. And I just think it's so cool. I think it's so great. Like this is not a studied thing. We need more information on this.
Yes.
So can you share some advice for the person who's maybe intimidated by toys and like wants to explore, wants to learn about what gets them off and what feels good?
For sure.
Where do we start?
Yes. So I would start with trying to figure out a few things, like asking yourself a few questions. The first question is, what is my budget for this toy, right? Like if you're someone who's kind of like, okay, like I'm interested in trying a sex toy, but like don't really want to spend more than $30, there's a toy for you, right? Like if you're like, okay, I want something a little bit on the higher end, there's something maybe like in the $100 range. And sex toys can go up to a couple $100. So if you're like, I'm ready to really invest in my pleasure, like there's that option as well.
Do you think there's a difference really between the experience with a $200 toy and a $50 toy?
I think it depends on the brand because essentially there are a few brands out there that I highly recommend. And it depends on kind of like what the toy does, right? Like if it's a vibrator that has multiple settings and like the, you know, it's so sleek and you like the design, like that might just be a brand thing. But a $30 toy can certainly get you off. It's also just super dependent on the type of toy, right? Like if you're someone who likes a suction toy that where you like air puffing on like the tip of the clit, like that's an option. Or if you like broad stimulation, like the Magic Wand, or like pinpoint stimulation, like a bullet, right? Like it really just depends on your body and what feels the best for you. So yeah, the first question is like, how much do I want to spend? The second question is, what kind of stimulation do I like?
What if I don't know?
I think then you start with a lower end toy. So there's a really great sex toy company that I partner with called Lion's Den, and they have pretty much every toy under the sun. And essentially you can go to like their 5-star category and they're like under, you know, $40 category. And you can just kind of look around and see if you also live near a local sex toy shop. Lion's Den has like 50 retailers across the US. You know, I live in the Bay Area. We have an amazing sex toy shop called Good Vibes here. Like you can go in and just say like, hey, like, I don't know what I like. Can you just show me around? And someone will do that.
Yeah.
If you're a little shy, you can just do that on the internet and just kind of poke around on their website. And the only way for you to know is for you to try it and for you to see on your body how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I started purchasing any kinds of toys for myself until I was in college, like out of my parents' house, had my own money more. Like I didn't really feel comfortable before that doing anything.
Totally.
So yeah. And I would say even now, like as someone who like talks about it on a podcast to like thousands of people listening, I still feel weird going to a sex shop sometimes. Like I still feel like a little awkward and shy. Like it's okay if you feel that way.
Absolutely. We were taught to feel awkward, right? Like we were not set up in our culture to feel comfortable talking about these things. And so, you know, if you're somebody who really just wants to try something out, I would just recommend buying a few things and trying them and just see how they feel on your body. And you might want to use different toys for different purposes. Like if you know that you kind of just want to use something to warm up, that might be a great toy for that. The main things to really look out for are making sure that it has body safe material. So like medical grade silicone is like what many vibrators are made out of. You don't want anything that's like jelly or, anything that is porous, because essentially bacteria can seep into the toy and that can cause an infection. And so it's really important to not get unbody safe materials. And you also want to think about, okay, if you're using lube, what's compatible mostly with silicone-based toys is water-based lube. Don't use a silicone-based lube with a silicone-based toy, because again, could cause the toy to break, cause bacteria, and could cause infection.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to know.
So when would you use silicone-based lube?
With a partner or with fingers, with a different type of toy, like with a glass toy or a toy with a different kind of material. But yeah, I think like ultimately lube is an amazing addition to sex toys, and we should all have like a sex toy that we like and a bottle of lube that we really like. Yeah.
This is just a personal question for me because I'm just curious. When do you retire a sex toy?
Great question.
Because I feel like I think I have like a collection of like a lot of that I don't even really use anymore. But it's like I'm like, what do I do with this if I don't use it anymore? Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you're someone who has had a sex toy, let's say for over 5 years, and you have, everyone has their like box that they like shove in their closet or under their bed or wherever they put it, or maybe it's in your nightstand loud and proud. And I would every 5 years, go through that box and really take inventory of like, am I using this? If not, you should probably just throw it away. If you really did like that toy and want to try to replace it, I think that's a good time to kind of do a little replacement of your sex toys that you really enjoy. And then maybe you can treat yourself by buying like one to replace it and one new one and trying that out.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked about like using toys solo, but what about when you're in the bedroom? I want you to just help listeners feel normal. Like what you're saying earlier, it's like, it's normal to need them in the bedroom sometimes.
Yes. Let this serve as your affirmation, your words of affirmation from a sex educator. Using sex toys with a partner is a perfectly great way to have pleasure.
Yes.
And I think that, again, we're taught this thing where, if I can't reach orgasm without one, then that means that I'm a failure, or that means that my partner is going to be mad at me. And your partner should really know that the sex toy is not a competitor, but a teammate. And your partner wants you to reach orgasm, right? Like their pleasure is your pleasure and vice versa. And if a main way that you experience pleasure is by using a sex toy, Dr. Lori Mintz, a really great psychologist and sex educator and professor, talks about turn taking, right? Like we usually think of sex in this way that is like, okay, let's have an orgasm at the same time while we're having PV sex. How unrealistic is that, right? Like that doesn't happen basically to anybody. And so instead, think about it as turn taking where, okay, maybe we use a toy on me first, and then maybe I'll reach orgasm, and then maybe we'll have PV sex, or I'll touch you or give you oral or whatever, and then you'll have an orgasm, and vice versa, right? Like there are various ways that you can engage in sexual acts with your partner that can involve and should involve sex toys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, there is this feeling of guilt or shame bringing it in. It's like, shouldn't my partner be enough? Shouldn't my partner just like what their abilities and whatever else they're bringing to the table in the bedroom, like be enough for me to experience pleasure and just like feel the way I want to feel? But sometimes like, I don't know, I really had to get over this hump because now we use a toy probably every time we're having sex. And I'm so glad that we do because it's a lot better for me. And luckily my husband's all about it. Like he'll go in my drawer and be like, okay, let's use this one.
Amazing.
It's great. And he's been adventurous and trying different ones and stuff too, because he knows like it really helps me, even though like maybe he's not crazy about all of them.
Yeah.
But
but he loves you and your pleasure, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think the question of, oh, like, shouldn't my partner be enough? I think that, does your partner's penis vibrate? Like,
No.
it's a completely different
Hopefully not.
sensation, right?
Yeah. If it does, they need
go to the
medical
doctor.
attention.
Yeah, please go see someone. But I think that, like, it really is a completely different sensation. And so I think we need to just be thinking about it as, adding to the Sunday, right? Like, if sex is a Sunday, and having PV sex is kind of the basis of your sex, if that's how you want to think about it, what is the cherry? What is the whipped cream? What is the hot fudge? Like, these are all accoutrements and extras that feel really good, that make the Sunday what it is.
Right. 100%. So what's a good way or tip or approach to like talking about incorporating this? Is it like in the bedroom if you're not already? For the listener who knows this would be great, but is just feeling really shy or anxious about bringing it up.
I think that you practice like a 2-line script, right? Because I think that coming to the conversation prepared makes you feel better about the way that your conversation will go. And so I think first, it's like a good thing to go to your partner at some point and kind of ask if and when they're free to talk about this. So like kind of preparing for the conversation by asking to make a plan to talk about it. Okay. Similar to other things that you might want to talk to your partner about, where in the middle of the day, maybe they're not free to talk about it or it's not the right setting, but maybe you go to your partner or you shoot them a text at some point throughout the day if you don't work in the same space. A lot of us work from home. A lot of us work, alongside our partners. But if you're someone who's away from your partner during the day, you could shoot them a text and just say like, hey, like I was just thinking about our sex life and like was feeling like super excited about it. I have an idea that I want to run by you later.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
So like make them feel like excited, like it's something that you've been thinking about. It's about pleasure, they're on your mind.
That's a flirty, spicy text.
Yes. Like,
I like it.
Give a little sext. And then more often than not, right, they'll be like, fuck yeah, I want to talk about that, whatever you're thinking. Then when you get in the conversation, you can say something along the lines of like, I've been thinking of like a new way that we can engage in pleasure together, and it involves a sex toy. What do you think about that? Like really simple, like let them have their reaction, right? Like, cause they also realistically were brought up in this culture of taboo and being scared and maybe feeling threatened, and like, let them have their moment, whatever their reaction is. And if they respond in a way that's like, hey, let me think about that, right? Like totally cool. Like, let's revisit this another time. If they respond in a way that says, yeah, sure, let's try that, then you're like, yes, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And in the off chance that they say something like, no, I really am completely uncomfortable doing that, I'm not interested, maybe like give it a beat and kind of try to explain to them in a way that what we've been talking about in this podcast of like, hey, like it's really important to me that we like think about my pleasure as well. Like I use these sex toys when I'm masturbating and it feels really good, and I want to let you in on that, right? Like there are ways that you can kind of explain a little further. And if they're still pretty resistant, I would probably table the conversation to another time and maybe just have a think as to like why exactly they're so resistant to you getting your pleasure.
That can also just be a conversation of like, what does bringing a toy mean to you, partner who is resistant? Just getting an understanding of that, because it probably is something to do with the education upbringing they had and shame and just, or like certain ideals, or it's not, and never in the porn they watch, like, what? Like it's unfamiliar, it's weird or whatever to them. And that's something that you could potentially work through. That would be a disappointing reaction. So to the men listening, if your partner is like, hey, I want to try this, that will make me feel really good, and you're feeling weird about it, like let's focus on the good part of your partner feeling really good.
Yes. Ultimately, like you should want to make your partner feel pleasure and your partner should want to make you feel pleasure. And that's like kind of it, right? Like the way that happens, it would be a different story, I feel, if this was about like a fantasy or a kink that like your partner would need some time to adjust to, right? But like this is 2025.
This is
like
just
sex toys,
a vibrator.
we gotta get with the program here. Like it is an important part of many people's sexual pleasure, and there shouldn't be shame in it. Like we really need to be talking about it and making it a comfortable part of our sexuality.
Can I share an experience with you? So,
Please.
Like I've been with my husband for 2.5 years, and like he's the first partner I've ever had that I have not faked orgasms with ever.
I love that you're talking about this.
Yes. And I've talked about it a lot, but so we started off on a great foot with our sex life because of that. And so we've used toys all throughout our relationship so far. But one day I was like, I really want to try a cock ring. Because for some reason that was not on my radar ever. And so I remember we like looked at cock rings together on Amazon. And earlier you were like, if your dick is vibrating, it's like, no, well, it can with this.
It sure can.
It can turn into a vibrator with this ring vibrator situation. So we were looking at them together. They all looked really scary on Amazon. Like I was like, wow, these all look really terrifying. Like the shape, like the design. I'm like, I don't know about this. We got one. And we tried it. And like the first time we tried it, I was like, where the hell has this been my entire life? How am I 31 years old? And I did not know about this. And I was pissed. I was like, no one told me. This is an amazing tool for people, for most women who can only orgasm through clit stimulation.
Right.
And it's like, obviously it feels so much better too when penetration's happening as well.
Yes.
It's like, yeah. So now we have tried a few of them. Some of them work, some of them don't. But like, I'm just putting this out there, like, ladies, like, please try this.
Yes. I love that you're talking about this. I was going to mention this before when we were talking about different kinds of vibrators, because I think with a cock ring, right, like it's kind of implied it's either being used for a penis haver in masturbation or during PV sex, typically, or anal sex, right? Like all sorts of penis sex. And so I do think that, yeah, with cock rings, like it is an important thing to think about of like, how can we get that vibration on the clitoris while we're having PV sex? And a cock ring is a great way to do that.
That's awesome.
And I'm so glad that you found a few that work for you.
I also have like, I will buy specific toys that I know I can easily hold in place while we're having sex. We don't always need that because I don't think he loves it. I don't think he loves the experience of having it on him.
Yeah. Could be like, a little intense of an experience.
Yeah. I don't, that's fine. Like, luckily he still does it because he loves me.
Right.
But like you don't need to have a cock ring to accomplish what it is accomplishing. Like there are toys out there that are like easy to hold and like you can just kind of like hold it in place. So try it.
Please try it. There's also a toy called the Eva 2, I believe, EVA number 2. And it's by Dame Products, which is a really great brand that I used to work for actually, and highly recommend their stuff. And it is like a little toy that has little like wings and you tuck it into the labia and it sits on the top of the clitoris and it's a vibrator and it's meant to be used during PV sex. It works for some people. It really depends on like
you gotta try a few.
You gotta try, and and most sex toy companies honestly have a policy where if you try it and within a certain number of days it doesn't work for you, you can get your money back. And so you can check on their return policy. Obviously, they don't resell them; it's just kind of a wash for them.
Yeah,
but I do think that it is a great option for PV sex and getting stimulation during that.
But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because it's like, I also had to go through this exact conversation of like, I want to try this thing. I know you have not tried this before. I have not tried this before. It's weird for both of us.
Right.
And like, we got through it. And now it's like, we know if it works for us or not. And it's like, you can do this. And I think you can do this pretty much at any point in a relationship, whether you've been dating for 2 months or years. Obviously, if you've been dating for years. Like it probably could feel even weirder because it's like been years.
Right. Exactly. I think that's why it's important that we kind of are consistently checking in about these things, similar to like every few years looking at your inventory of your sex toys and just being like, okay, what do I have here? Am I happy in my sex life? How can I communicate this with my partner in like figuring out the way that feels really good for us? Or what does novelty look like? Like all of these kinds of things. Like I recently started working with this really great brand partner called Arya, ARYA.
Yeah, I saw that.
They do this really cool thing where they send a box every month with goodies, but they also have a concierge. So it's a real person who you can text and they'll send you like scenes, like different themes to do every month. And it kind of takes the onus out of the partners to have to think like, oh, I'm tired of like, quote, spicing up my own thing. How do I just like get someone else to do this for me?
It's like someone directing your sex life.
Exactly. But it's a stranger and like, you don't have to see them. Yeah. And so I think it's a cool concept. And, a lot of people, write into me being like, hey, like I've been with my husband for 8 years. We like don't kiss anymore. We don't have any passion. Like, how can I get it back? And I think like the reason why we're missing it is because we're not talking about it with people. And so I think ultimately like we need to be communicating with our partners.
What I'm learning is like a lot of sex and having good sex isn't quote sexy.
I want to hear more. Like what does that mean to you?
I mean, like when you think of like what a kind of stereotypical idea of what sexiness is, and it's like mysterious, it's like sensual, it's like primal. Talking about it, trying toys and not liking it, buying a service that helps you spice up your sex life after 8 years. Like these things are not what I would fall under the category of like stereotypically sexy,
right?
You know, but like they are in their own way because they're supporting your sex life. But I guess I want to encourage listeners to like embrace the unsexy to make your life sexier.
Yes, like the mundanity of what it's like to be talking about your sex life, because then it's the same conversation about consent, right? Like, oh, like, you know, it's kind of awkward to have to be asking, like, can I touch you here? Can I touch you here? It's going to be hotter if everyone involved is really into it. And like, that's the same kind of analogy of like, it's going to be hotter if you talk about your sex life and then you have a really good sex life because you're talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I want to switch gears and get into some listener questions. I just threw up like on a whim. I was like, I want to just see what happens. So I put up a question box on Instagram and it says, sex questions you're too embarrassed to ask. This is for you. So I'm just pulling this up. Okay. If they finish early / don't last long, does that mean they haven't had sex in a long time?
Not necessarily. I think that if that happens, first of all, you should take it as a compliment because they think you're really hot and they're really into whatever's going on. Some people just have an issue finishing early, and some people haven't had sex in a while, and some people are just really into it. Like, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think that if it was happening multiple times after you were engaging in sexual activity with them, maybe then there's kind of an ask that you can say of like, hey, like, is this a common experience for you? Like maybe just getting their
I like that.
opinion rather than assuming anything.
Yeah. I've experienced this in the past with partners, and what ended up happening was like, it was a common experience for them. And you just like kind of adjust the way you have sex so that it does last longer, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are having intercourse the entire time. It's like you're taking breaks, you're doing other things. There's plenty more to do.
Yes. Can I briefly talk about edging?
Oh, yeah.
So edging is this idea where you're kind of taking yourself or your partner or both of you right up to the edge of orgasm, and then you're backing away to decrease that stimulation. And then theoretically, when you do reach orgasm after edging a few times, it's much more powerful because you're ready for it. You're really hungry for it. And so if someone has erectile dysfunction or finishes too early or whatever their condition is, if that's something that they're experiencing, engaging in edging can be a really, really fun way to make the experience last longer.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that tip because it's not talked about enough. All right, here's another one. How to get and keep a nice riding rhythm as the female partner on top of a male, I guess.
Great question. I think that it's important for you and your partner's body to be as most in sync as possible. So really like communicating with them and telling them, okay, let's go faster, let's go slower, keep that rhythm. Like, I think that typically men kind of have this idea that like faster is better, and that isn't necessarily true. I think that like going slow, and then Amy from a great podcast called Shameless Sex likes to say, go slow and then go slower than slow. So like really try to feel everything. And once you're in sync and in rhythm, that's when you can kind of continue. Yes, that's when you can continue it and then decide with your partner when you're going to go faster.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. And also like practice, which is fun.
Yeah. The more that you know your partner's body, the more likely you are to be able to maintain a rhythm. So I would first start out by going slower than slow, and then trying to figure out how you can be as in sync as possible.
Yeah. Here's another kind of related one. My boyfriend can only orgasm in one position that kills my quads. Any tips? I wish he could orgasm in other ways or with me. Yeah.
Sounds like you need to do some squats, girl. No. I mean, this is a great question. I think that, thinking about what it would take to make your partner feel really, really good and not quite orgasm yet, but kind of, again, like with the edging of like almost get there. So maybe it's another position that you're, having sex in that feels really good, that gives him a lot of stimulation. And then when it's time for him, then switching over to that other position so that he can reach orgasm. So I think like not putting as much pressure on your body that entire time and choosing another position up until that point would be really beneficial for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also, do you think it's pretty common that there's just folks out there who can only orgasm in one kind of like laying down or like standing up or whatever? Like, I don't know.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Like when we're learning to masturbate also, typically like we're starting to masturbate young, right? And those kinds of habits continue on. And it's a lot harder to break that habit when you've been masturbating for decades, right? So you know exactly how to make yourself orgasm. And similar with your partner, like they've been masturbating for a long time. They know their body best. And so it can feel a little bit more difficult to reach orgasm in a different position.
Yeah. Okay. Let me look at a few more because these are new ones I didn't read yet. Let's see what your answer to this is. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll cut this out. I don't know.
Okay.
How to lovingly tell my female partner about feminine odor.
Feminine odor. How to lovingly. Is this like a nice way of saying you think that she is smelly? Is this what this partner is saying?
I guess.
I think my first reaction to this is kind of like, is this just natural, like vaginal odor that you're talking about? Because if it is, we got to get over that. Like that's, like the vulva and the penis have their own natural smells. So that's important that we don't kind of buy into this idea of like scented tampons and scented like wash.
Douching.
And like, don't douche, by the way. Like it's not good for you. It can cause infection and is unnecessary. And so I think like if we're talking about regular schmegular vaginal odor, then we need to be cool about that and kind of unlearn some of the things. If we're talking about like general body odor, where like someone is not cleaning correctly, maybe we can have foreplay and sex in the shower. Like maybe what does that look like for two people to be washing each other and to be like engaging in touch in that way?
I think that's a good way to be like, to not say anything, but also like, is there an issue here? Or am I just need to get over this? Like,
Yeah. I think it's really dependent on like what we're talking about, but I do want to use it as an opportunity to say that like women in particular are told over and over again that they are smelly and that they need vaginal wash from companies over and over again. And we don't need that. Like the vagina has an odor. You just need to wash it with water, and you can wash your pubic mound with very soft soap and water. And that's it. Like that is the only thing that you need. Like the vagina is like a self-cleaning oven. Like it will clean itself on its own. And so if though, however, it smells kind of like sulfury or like rotten eggs, like you might have an infection. And so like that might be a good test to see. And if you have discharge that's kind of like yellow or green, like you definitely want to go to the doctor. I have a friend, she's a comedian and a sex educator, and she has a song called Discharge. And she goes, if it's clear and it's white, nice. If it's yellow and it's green, go get it checked out. Clear and it's white, nice. So that's how I remember my discharge information. Her name is Melissa Stripe. You should go look her up. She is the big Lissa on Instagram and TikTok. Oh my God. She is hysterical. Highly recommend. So anyway,
thank you for that.
Of course, anytime.
Okay, here's another one. I feel like I ruined my sensitivity using my vibrator. I can't even make myself finish anymore. Tips.
Every body is different, and I don't want to kind of perpetuate a myth that is common that using a vibrator at all will decrease your sensitivity, because there's no research that shows this. And as I had said in the beginning, every body is different, and you know your body and mind best. So if you're somebody who's using a vibrator every day or multiple times a day, or your vibrator is particularly strong, you might want to back off from using that for a couple of weeks and try just using your hand and see what that's like in order for you to reach orgasm. And you might want to switch up your vibrator so that it might be a little longer. It might take a little longer for you to be able to reach orgasm. So
I definitely experienced that before where it's like, oh, I feel like after using my vibrator a lot, it would be really difficult to reach orgasm with my hand. So I will take a break and like, I'm like, okay, I got to go manual for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I think that can happen, and it should dissipate like after you've been taking a few weeks off. But again, if it's something that you're feeling concerned about or feeling like you're in pain, like I definitely recommend seeing a gynecologist, seeing potentially, if it's something that's mental, like considering a sex therapist, if it's something that feels muscular, like seeing a pelvic floor PT, like there are people who can help with that.
Right. Yeah. This is great. These are great tips. Okay. Is it okay if a male 29 needs additional physical stimulation to get hard?
Additional physical stimulation. What does this mean, do you think? Do you think like a hand?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It means touching somewhere else on the body somewhere to get erection.
That is absolutely normal.
Yeah, that's normal.
Don't you worry. That is totally normal. And I feel like that's quite common for people. So, don't feel embarrassed or shame about that. Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Maybe this is a myth-related one. Is the G-spot real in women?
This is a really great question because I don't have a particular clear answer. There are some people who say that the G-spot is real. Yes, it exists.
Yes.
If you put your fingers kind of up the vagina and make like a come here motion, you will kind of reach it on that wall of the vagina. I think the question, though, is whether or not G-spot stimulation is actually just clitoral stimulation. Because the clitoris, I have a little model.
Let's see it. And you should be watching this on YouTube because, one, it's great. Two, we have this visual of a model. Oh, so there it is.
This is the clitoris. And we typically just think of the clitoris as this little tip that kind of comes out here. But there's this whole network of these nerves, and the clitoris kind of expands with blood when we get aroused. And so in here would be the vaginal opening. And so the idea is kind of like the back of the clitoris here, like that is where the G-spot is. And so the idea is kind of like, okay, maybe it's G-spot stimulation. Is it also just clitoral stimulation? Like it's kind of unclear, but my understanding is that because the clitoris is so large and because it really sits behind that vaginal opening, the idea is that many people who do get G-spot stimulation are also being stimulated because their clitoris is being stimulated.
Right. So it's like almost like the G-spot is just part of the clitoris kind of, or like it's just touching the clitoris in some way.
Yeah. Like it's kind of behind it here.
Yeah. I mean, like I will say just from experience, like again, with my husband, my current sexual partner, like, and actually paying attention to what feels good, I've noticed if like he tries to stimulate my quote G-spot, like it definitely feels better. Like it definitely, I can tell the difference, which is part of why like the cockring experience is so great. Cause I'm like, okay, I can actually feel the difference here. But it's like, kind of like, does it matter what we call it? What feels good?
Yeah. I think like, I mean, actually, do you mind if I like pull up an article for like the latest information on here?
Let's get nerdy. I love it.
Let's get nerdy. Okay, I'm gonna read from Wikipedia really quickly.
Oh, okay, I love it.
Wikipedia's got what we need. Okay, so the G-spot, it's named after a German gynecologist. Ernst Grafenberg is the G-spot, is characterized as the erogenous area of the vagina that when stimulated may lead to strong sexual arousal, powerful orgasms, and potential female ejaculation. It is typically reported to be located 5 to 8 centimeters or 2 to 3 inches up in the front anterior vaginal wall between the vaginal opening and the urethra, and is a sensitive area that may be a part of the female prostate. We can get into that in a second if we want. But the existence of the G-spot has not been proven, nor has the source of female ejaculation. Although it's been studied since the 1940s, disagreement persists over its existence as a distinct structure, definition, and location. The G-spot may be an extension of the clitoris, which together may be the cause of orgasms experienced vaginally. Last thing, sexologists and other researchers are concerned that women may consider themselves to be dysfunctional if they don't experience G-spot stimulation and emphasize that not experiencing it is normal. So again, we're kind
Thank you, Wikipedia.
Thank you,
for
Wikipedia. Yes, we're kind of still discussing, I guess, the G-spot. More research is needed.
Yeah. I mean, I love, again, you are such an educator. I love it. You're just like, let's get the information. Let's get the article. I really appreciate this entire conversation. I learned a lot talking to you in this 1 hour.
I'm so glad.
I learned several things. So my last question for you is, what do you want to see more of in dating?
Pleasure for the sake of pleasure. I think that we get so wrapped up in our bodies and how we look and if the other person likes us. And I think that the world would be a better place if we just had more enjoyment and more pleasure of each other and of ourselves.
Beautiful. Danielle, where can we get more of you?
Oh, great question. You can find my podcast, Sex Ed with DB, wherever you get your podcasts. And right now, as you know, we're doing a fun series called Rom-Com Vom, which you're going to be featured in, which I'm so excited about, where we, in every episode, we take a beloved rom-com and go under the covers with it. We strip away its hidden toxic messages and rewrite the script on love and sex. So I'm very excited about that series. If you're interested in hearing that, just type in Rom-Com Vom wherever you get your podcasts. And you can find us on Instagram at Sex Ed with DB podcast and on TikTok at Sex Ed with DB.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is so fun.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what did you think? Did you learn anything new? You can share with me in the comments if you're listening on Spotify, or you can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. I really appreciated Danielle's tips on incorporating toys in the bedroom, and all the brands she listed are linked below. It can be hard to find the right toy at the right price point, so I hope her resources can help you. I want to thank you for listening. Thanks for trusting me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, you're doing great. I'd love it if you share this episode and podcast with someone who is navigating dating and might need a little confidence boost or some tough love. If any of these episodes have helped you in your journey, you can help me by leaving a stunning review on Apple, or giving Dating Intentionally 5 stars on Spotify, or following us on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Talia. This has been Dating Intentionally, and I'll catch you next time.